Welcome to Nbcf at Home. We're delighted that you've joined us from your living room this evening. Yeah, it's great to have you with us from our sofa to your sofa or to your car seat, wherever you are at the moment. It's just great to be spending time together. Tonight we're going to be looking at our vision series. We're going to be continuing in our vision series, and I'm going to be sharing on family, on the importance of family. So why don't you go and grab yourself a cuppa, and we're going to dive into that in just a moment.
Welcome from me. Let me just introduce ourselves. My name's Neil, this is my wife Jo, and we lead the church here in North Berwick, and it's great to have you with us tonight. Do comment, let us know that you're watching, give us a like on YouTube. We'd love to just connect with you today. Yeah. And so the main thing I just wanted to highlight for our viewers is that on the 19th of December, we are going to have our carol service. This is just a great event that you can come along and sing some carols, get yourself in that festive mood, and find out something about what Christmas is about. So I look forward to that event.
I do as well. Christmas jumpers.
I know. I really enjoy Christmas, and singing carols is a great thing to do. So why not invite your friends along? Yeah. Let's have a great big sing-song in the high school, and we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, we really would.
So today, as Joe already mentioned, we're going to be continuing in our vision series, and today the focus is on family. And as I thought about family, there was a verse that came to mind for me, and I'm just going to share it with us today. And it's from Ephesians, and it's chapter 3, verse 14, and Paul's writing this letter to the church in Ephesus, and he says this: "For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name." And I love this verse because it reminds us about a core part of what we believe as Christians, which is that we have a Father. Jesus taught us to pray our Father in heaven, that actually what he's calling us to is family. Yeah. He's calling us to family, that we're brothers and sisters, that we have a Father. And the verse talks about how every family, every grouping that we have ultimately comes from the Father. And it's this whole picture of us being a family. I just love that picture that what God is inviting us into is a family. And it's a perfect family with a perfect Father. And that encourages me. And hopefully encourages you, that you know that you have a Father who loves you, who cares for you today.
I feel encouraged.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. So just leave you with that verse. And we're going to now have a time of worship, a time to sing our praises to God. And we invite you to join in. And whether you know the song or not, the words will be on the screen. And let's worship God today with our voices. Let me pray for us as we come to worship. Father, we just want to still ourselves before you for a moment. All the busyness of the week, all the challenges we face, God, we just bring them all to you. We come as we are. We thank you that you are our Father, that you're a good Father. And so we just come to lift you up and to adore you today. Amen. Let's worship. How great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, and is written, Jesus Christ, my living hope.
Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. My Jesus Christ, my living hope.
And hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe out of the silence. The roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe out of the silence. The roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. And hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. And hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. All my hope is in you, God. You and you alone.
So Neil, a couple of weeks ago, started our vision series, and he shared our vision, which is that we are a Jesus-centered family, both living out and giving out hope. That who we are as a people and what we felt as a leadership, that God was saying to us, is that we are a Jesus-centered family, both living out and giving out hope. And last week, Neil shared about being Jesus-centered. And today I'm continuing our vision statement, looking at families. We are a Jesus-centered family. And so I'm going to be looking at family. So if we have a picture up of me and my family, this is us. I'm the youngest of four. Oh, do you not have it? It's not there. Okay, that's fine. I am the youngest of four. Personally, I think some might say that I would be the favourite. I'm the one who my older brothers perfected giving a dead arm on, if anybody else has experienced that. I also learned how to defend myself pretty well with a tea towel because doing dishes with older brothers required those sorts of skills in our household. I'm also the one who my big macho rugby playing brother would let me climb into bed with him if I felt scared or if I was too excited on Christmas morning and couldn't wait any longer and didn't want to wake the parents. I'm also the favourite. Everyone likes to think that they're the favourite, but everybody knows I'm the favourite. And I think the parents even let that slip one time. And not that I remind everybody at every opportunity possible, but I'm joking. So family is the most important thing to me personally, and seeing it, the value of family worked out in our church. So everywhere I go, I want to see family blossom and thrive. I want to see people shown value in a way that they feel it. So there's this great quote, and I couldn't really find who it was by, but it's a really great sentiment, which says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. There's just a lot of truth in that, isn't there? People won't forget how you made them feel. And I want people to feel accepted for who they are, the differences and nuances that make them them, to feel that they are part of a family, that they're missed when they're not around, that people, when they come to NBCF, I want them to feel the love of Jesus in this Jesus-centered family. Now, we all have different experiences and expectations of family. So some have had a very difficult and negative experience of family, a place where it was challenging, maybe weren't valued and accepted in a way that you wanted to be or needed to be, and maybe a place you didn't feel safe. And some have had a very positive experience of family, a place where you thrived. And what we're talking about today is being a family centered around Jesus, a life-giving, fully accepting, safe, thriving place to come to fully be yourself. God is a redemptive God. For those who've had a difficult family upbringing, God is a redemptive God. Isaiah 61 says that he gives us beauty instead of ashes, joy instead of mourning, praise instead of despair. That he redeems what was broken and he makes it better than it was before. He doesn't just bring it back to, a level standard. He actually makes it better than what it was before. God has made us his family. In 2 Corinthians 6:18, it says, I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. He will redeem and restore all that was broken as we come into his presence as his family. We are a Jesus-centered family, a kingdom family, a restored family here in NBCF. And I found it just beautiful when we came for our 30th celebration, and testimony after testimony was what NBCF feels like family. People feel accepted, chosen, valued in this place, and we want to keep that alive. This is a continuation of the NBCF story, like Neil shared last week. This isn't a direct change in direction, but this is a continuation. This is God furthering what he began and growing more of what he started in NBCF. So we are a Jesus-centered family. So shout out to me, what does family mean to you? Let me know. Laughter. Love. Togetherness. Belonging. Safety. Anything else? What does family mean to you? Identity. Oh, good one. You've read my notes. What's that? Support. Stop reading my notes, Jean. Anything else? Closeness. Shared pain. Very good. Anything else? Loyalty. Accountability. Food. Yes. It's not on my notes, but it should be. So if we have the next slide up, I just made a couple of notes. Safe place, acceptance, encouragement, challenge, growth, fun. I should put food in there. Differences, similarities, connection, championing one another, trust, openness. A couple of my notes on that. So we are a Jesus-centered family, which means that Jesus is at the center of who we are. He's at the center of all these things that we have described as what we feel we are as family. And Neil last week said that we are not gathered around a common interest or a common truth or a truth that God exists, but we're gathered around the person of Jesus. And we're a family gathered around Jesus, that we are individuals who've come together around Jesus, which means that we are all different. Yet we're not from the same biological families, so we don't look, talk, sound the same. Even in a biological family, my 4 siblings, we are all incredibly different. Yet you might say that we look like peas in a pod, but I can tell you our characters are not peas in a pod. So we can be very different. Together as a family, we are loving and caring for one another, growing and connecting together with our God, who is our Father, around Jesus. So I have 3 main points that I want to make today about family, about this concept of being a family centered around Jesus. That family connects with and commits to one another. Family accepts one another, and family grows up with one another. I always find it helpful knowing what my 3 points are in advance so you know how far into the preach we are. Family connects with and commits to one another. So in our family, we have what we call Family Fun Day, which is our Saturday. And this is a day which is committed to being a dedicated family time. We've made a commitment to our kids that Saturday is Family Fun Day. And there are lots of things that we might do on this day. But the one thing that we do is that we do it together. Whatever we do on that day, we do it as a family of 4. We do it together. There is no work for Neil and I on a Saturday. No matter what the week brings, Saturday is our Family Fun Day. And this, for me, brings a feeling of safety and security. Because I know that one day every week, I have a day where I can have the space and time dedicated to strengthen my connections within my family. It's also the girls' favourite day of the week. You ask them what their favourite day of the week is, and unless it's Christmas week, it will be Family Fun Day, because they know that they have a day dedicated to mum and dad's undivided attention, and it usually involves treats and cafes of some sort as well. So being a family includes connection and being committed to one another, and this includes leaning in relationally. And what this looks like is choosing one another and committing to the family. This is about keeping the relationships within a family healthy. Now, the Bible makes it clear in a number of ways that we can do this. To encourage one another, we need to improve our connection through encouragement. So Hebrews 3:13 says, "Encourage one another daily as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness." One of the best ways to strengthen a connection with somebody is to encourage them. I don't think I have ever walked away from a connection with somebody when they have encouraged me and I've gone, that was awful, I feel very disconnected from them right now. When I have been encouraged, it has strengthened my connection with somebody. Now, encouragement is easy for the giver, but it is transformational for the receiver. If you think just now of a moment that you have been encouraged, or when you have encouraged, you might say, "Bill, what a wonderful jacket you're wearing today." Bill always dresses well and has nice jackets. There we go. Everybody. Very easy for us just now to encourage Bill in his dress code. But you've thrown me off now, Bill. But encouragement is transformational for the person who receives it. The verse also says that it stops us from being hardened. As the verse says, it stops us being hardened by sin's deceitfulness. From the simple act of encouragement stops us from being hardened. It also tells me that you have seen me, that I have been seen by you. And more than that, it tells me that there's something about me that you value, that you have gone out of your way to tell me something that you value about me. So we can ask ourselves, how can we in this family be one another's biggest champions? How can we be the ones who believe in each other and champion each other to see each other step into the fullness of what God has for us? we can call the best out in one another. Even if people don't behave according to their best, like when my girls, I can talk about them because they're not here. It's going to get a point I'm going to have to start paying them for using them as preaching examples. But sometimes with my girls, they don't behave very well, and I say to them, "Dan, that's not who you are. You are a good girl and a kind girl. Painting on somebody's back, that's not who you are." That happened this week. That's not who you are. You are a good girl. And what I'm doing is I'm calling out her best. You're laughing. It's very true. I'm calling out her best. And I'm saying to her, I'm believing in you. And I'm calling you up out of your behavior. So let us be the ones in a family who partner with God and remind them, despite the behavior, who God created them to be, who God designed them to be. And we can do this by prophesying over one another, reminding one another of God's truth about that person. It can be a Bible verse, it can be a picture, whatever it is, but reminding, this is who God called you to be. He called you to be this. We love doing this in our small group. We have nicknames for each other, like King David here. We have nicknames for each other, reminding one another of who God has called you to be. The way we use our words is absolutely massive in how we connect with one another. We are at NBCF a family who use our words to bring God's life, God's hope, and God's truth to everyone we encounter. Maybe today, if you're feeling disconnected with somebody, try encouragement. And choosing connection. Connection is a choice in every relationship. Choosing to put the relationship first. And again, the Bible gives us guidance on how we can keep our connection solid. By prioritizing the connection and committing to one another, even if there's disagreement, misunderstanding, confusion, or anything like that. By putting the relationship first means going and speaking directly with the person to clear the air, find out what's happened, so that the relationship and the connection can be prioritized. Matthew 18 reminds us that if someone hurts you or sins against you, to go and speak directly with them. If that doesn't work, then bring in others, but to speak directly with them. So in family, when there's something to be discussed, we speak with the person. Email is just terrible for that stuff, but we speak directly with the person, being quick to restore relationships, preventing further breakdown. And we do all of this to protect our connection with one another, because it builds trust and a solid ground for the relationship when we know that the connection is being prioritized. Sometimes it means being brave and letting the other person know how you feel. And sometimes it means going out of your way to encourage and to build somebody up, calling them by their best and by what God says about them. Because I am committed, I choose connection. And that's who we are in NBCF, isn't it? Because we are committed, we choose connection with one another. Okay, next point. Family accepts one another. We are all different, yet part of the same family. Now, I find it fascinating that Neil and I can have two girls, both the same parents, both the same rules, both in the same house, both with the same boundaries, both with mostly the same of everything, because the girls are so close in age. If one has it, the other wants the same. Both pretty much the same of everything. They eat the same, yet they are so very different. My Abby wants everything that sparkles and shines. Her outfits are dresses that glitter, tights, pretty cardigans, and usually the most impractical yet sparkly shoes you will find. My Ella wants to be comfortable, and she loves the glitter and she loves the shine, but comfort is most important with her. And she summed it up to me one day. She said, "Mummy, Abby wants to look pretty, but I want to look comfortable." And you'll see that today. Abby's dressed like an alicorn today. So they are so different, but they come from the exact same biological family, and we are the same. We are so different, and we come from different biological families, and we have different expectations and experiences growing up. We have different cultural norms. We have different ways of communicating. We have different ideas of what is normal and what should be what. Yet we are together as a beautiful family in BCF, gathered around Jesus, connecting and committed to one another. Now, the only way that family works is when we value difference and we see it as our strength, when we see difference as our strength. Nelson Mandela says this: "Our differences are our strengths as a species and as a world community." Our differences are our strength as a species and a world community. But what does the Bible say about our differences. 1 Corinthians 12 through to 20. Just as a body, though one has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free. We were all given the one Spirit to drink, and so the body is not made of one part, but many. Now, if the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not, for that reason, stop being part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, what would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has made the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. Value and honor our differences, because it is a strength to be different. It is a strength that we are all different. My goodness, we would not want a church of Joes. We would not want that. I know that. It is a strength to be different. And it's a great temptation, isn't it, to surround ourselves with people who are like us, who think the same like us, have the same ideology as us, who have the same, processing as us, because it feels very comfortable. But that doesn't help us grow. It doesn't help us to value other differences and things that are different from us. But being around people who are different than us strengthens us. It teaches us that good is different, that I can love, value, and accept someone, yet be so completely different than them. That even if somebody's values are different to mine, I can value them. We can value them. We don't stumble over their failings, shortcomings, mistakes, and differences, but we can honor, love, and value who they are without stumbling over who they are not. Because being different is a strength in a family. Being different is a strength in a family as long as we stay connected and committed to one another. As long as we stay connected and committed to one another, our strength is our differences is our strength. And what does this mean? It means that you are an important part of this family. You are important. Your difference, what makes you you, is needed here. It is a strength to us. The way that you think, the way that you act, who you are is important to us. We don't want everybody to look the same, but we value difference as a strength. And my final point is family grows up with one another. Having grown up with my siblings, there are things about them that I know pretty well. I know their habits, good and bad. I know their preferences. I know their weaknesses, also known as what buttons to push. I know how much we have all changed. I know how much we've all figured out who we are or trying to figure out who we are. And I know how much we have all grown. Being a family means that we are growing up together, that we are connected and committed to one another, showing value and honor for our differences, but also watching one another grow and growing personally as well. We are growing personally and corporately, all in our own individual walks with God and as a body. Part of growth means trying things and sometimes making mistakes. Like I watch our girls grow, and for them and us, we grow and make things work, and some things work and some things don't. Some days at the end of the day I go, well, Joe, try again tomorrow. That didn't work today. That parenting strategy didn't work today. Try again tomorrow. And that's part of growth, is being tolerant, graceful, and gentle with one another as we grow and learn, but always championing and encouraging one another. So part of growth is learning our identity, who I am personally, and who are we as a community, what makes me and what makes us tick. As a family, we always have our own unique identity. Families always have their own in-jokes, don't they? Like I have nicknames in my family that you'll never find out. Because we have our own DNA, jokes, nicknames, identity, all of that. Part of us growing is learning who we are as a family, who we are as NBCF, who are we as NBCF, the church. And our family here at NBCF has a different identity to other church families. We have different in-jokes, mainly Bill's for that part. Most of us, I'm sorry, Bill, I'm picking a lot on you today. Part of us growing together is learning together who we are as a family, honoring the memories of the past and creating new memories as the family expands and grows. We are on a journey of that just now, learning our new identity in this season as a church. And this includes everyone. No one left out. It takes everyone to form a family. It takes all of us to fully bring ourselves and be engaged for us to fully realize who we are, because everyone is important. Everyone is important. We're also in a season of growing and changing. So growing the family. With growth comes change and the need to be flexible. As our church grows, we need to adapt and know that change is part of what happens in a growing family, sharing and communicating well, directly with people, and sometimes that feels difficult. So as a family, we grow in our relationships with God, with Him as our Father. We grow in our relationships with one another as brothers and sisters, and we grow in our identity as a family. If we have the next slide up. Family threads through everything who we are as a family in Nbcf. I quite like that picture. It's quite a good one. It threads through everything who we are as a family here at Nbcf. We are family when we worship. We are family when we welcome people and accept them and their differences. We are family when we go through difficulty, crisis, when we disagree but choose connection with one another. We are family as we grow, as a community and as individuals, in God and with one another. We are family as we learn our identity, and we're family when we serve our community. Because family is about choosing to connect and to commit with one another. It's about valuing and honoring and loving one another, our differences. It's about growing together, learning more of who we are together. We are, at Nbcf, a Jesus-centered family. At Nbcf, we are here for one another. We are committed to and we choose one another. We love one another and we tell each other that. We are graceful and gentle with one another, and we adapt and we grow together. I want to be part of that family. I am part of that family. Praise God. And we are in a season of change as a church. Family, being at the absolute core of who we are, affects everything about us. We want our kids to grow up in God, thriving in their relationships with Him, being confident and strong in their faith. We want to reach the families in our community, sharing the life and the love of Jesus with them. We want them to come and to be loved by the family here at Nbcf, to experience that love, that choosing, that commitment, that engagement, that value. We want them to experience that. And we want to be a presence in our community, being there for them. So as a leadership team, we have spent a lot of time praying about the next steps for us as a church, who we are as a growing family and what steps we have for us as a growing family, where we feel the Lord leading us and how we are to respond in this new season that we find ourselves in. I'm going to invite Neil up, and he's going to share what we feel as a leadership, what the Lord's inviting us into as the next season.
Thank you, Joe. So family is so important to us that we want to invest our resources in that direction as a church. We all know that if Nbcf is going to thrive for the generations to come, that we need to grow. And we want to see us as a thriving community for years to come, with every generation represented in our midst. For those of you who've been around a while, you'll know that we once had lots and lots of kids running around. Some of them were perhaps your kids who have now grown up and moved on. We want to see that dynamic again at work within us as a church. So we've been discussing, as Joe says, this is a leadership team, and we want to let you know about something that we are considering today, and we want to bring it to you. We want to create a new paid role for a children and families worker. This new role would be about us investing in our future. We want to reach and attract the hundreds of families that have moved into this area over the last few years. I mean, I barely go a week without bumping into someone who hasn't moved into North Berwick within the last few years. All the newbies all stick together, because I think you have to be here 40 years to be a local. I'm not sure how that works. 100 years. Okay, anyone close? No. So this new role, they would be responsible for all of our Sunday children activities. We have a vision to see our children's activities be a place where children of all ages can discover their own personal relationship with God. We want to equip our children for the world that they are growing up in, and it's a world far more complex than most of us have known. And we want them to learn how to love God and to love others. We want to support families as they raise their children. And we want what happens on a Sunday to be so engaging, age-appropriate, and exciting that kids want to invite their friends along. Another part of this role would be to help us engage with our wider community. Perhaps running community events, perhaps being involved in the local schools like this one, through assemblies or whatever else that engagement could look like. Or perhaps other activities working alongside some of the other churches here in North Berwick. We see this role that we're talking to you about today not as a nice to have, but as a core part of our future as a church. And the role that we're proposing would be part-time, probably 2.5 days is what we're looking at. And we want to bring the role to you today because to make it happen, we actually need your support. Firstly, as a leadership team, we have unanimously agreed that this is the right move for us to make to see us grow into the future. But we need to hear from you. We need to hear, do you agree with that? And we want to have your prayers and your blessings as we look to the future. Secondly, we need your support financially. As a church, we have actually done relatively well during this pandemic. Our position now is that we still have healthy reserves, which were earmarked for future development, and our monthly costs have been low due to inactivity, the fact we've not been meeting. But we have lost income over this year. And for this new role, we would plan to use some of those reserves that we have, but that is not a sustainable way to fund a new role. So what we need at this stage is to raise an additional amount of £7,500 per year over the next 2 years. Hopefully that's nice and clear. £7,500 per year over the next 2 years in order for us to commit as a leadership team and say, yes, we can make this role happen. So we're talking about family. We're bringing it to you guys as church family. This is a family thing. The $7,500 can be made up of one-off gifts or monthly contributions. There is to be no guilt or shame at all in any of this about what you can or you cannot do. We're simply asking that everyone would consider helping us meet this need. We will gladly accept all offers, no matter if you feel like it is really small. It's no problem. We're not asking for people to commit to something indefinitely, so what we're asking for is this: over the next 2-year periods, would you be able to contribute? Again, this can be lump sum or monthly pledges. So in order to make our decision, what we need for you to do at this stage is to consider making a pledge, what you think you could potentially offer. And we would like to have a response within the next 2 weeks, if possible. Obviously, come and talk to us if that's not possible. So we're inviting you to go and pray and think and talk and come back to us. Please come and speak to us and any of the leadership team if you have questions. I'm going to invite Peter up, if you want to come up, Peter. Help us with some of the practicalities and anything else you want to add. You can use this one if you want.
Yep, that's great. All right, just wanted to endorse what we're doing and what we've been thinking about. This is something this probably goes right back to when we started looking for who would be taking over from Bill and Sal. Because if you remember, we spoke about this at the 30th, I think we said, we want to be attracting young families, reaching out to families. It's not just the kids, it's the parents that have moved down, And so this is not something that Neil and Joe have just come up with that they're pushing through. I just want to make that clear. We have really talked this through as a leadership team, being Norman, Adam, and Simon, who seems to be using up all his holidays before he retires, which is a good way of getting through the autumn. But we have taken this round, and I think it was Adam said the words, if we don't go forward with this, are we stopping halfway? What's the point of bringing Neil and Joe if we're not going to take the step of faith? So this is absolutely a step of financial faith, okay? You could say, you think, are we doing this? But if we believe that God has got us here to achieve something and do something, we really do believe it's the right thing to do. I endorse what Neil said there. Please, nobody feel on a personal guilt trip here. This is if you feel God's witnesses with you, it sits with you, and you can do something, no matter how little, that's okay. We're aware that everybody is in a different situation, and for some people, it's just not possible. And that's okay. So that I cannot say it enough, but we are convinced that this is God's will and the right way forward, and we are as one. We have been as one. This has not been a leadership divided. This is leadership absolutely as one. So I won't keep repeating myself, but you needed to hear that, and really take it away. Think about it. If you want to speak to any one of us, if you've got questions, there's so many things, and you'll have some ideas now, and you'll be on the way home, you'll think of something else. Please speak to us over this next couple of weeks. Anything at all you've thought about, or if you want to add to it, we really, really want that. There's a sense that this needs to be the family saying, we actually have thought about this, we've prayed about this, we consider this, and we think it is the right thing to do. Okay, so I'll leave that with you.
Practically, Peter, do you want to add anything about practically? Just are you a good point of contact if people want, or just speak to any of the leadership?
I'm a good point of contact, and I've got gift aid forms. But you might want to, okay, sorry, right. So what you can do is either give us a call, send us an email, or even in the offering basket, just stick an envelope in and saying, I can do £2 a month. Whatever it might be, whatever is easier for you. And, you may well want, there's all sorts of stuff, and it's just too much to go through. Well, what do they do through the week, and how much effort goes into what, and what's the balance, But as I say, it can be a call, an email, a text, an envelope, whatever way you want to do it, just do it, okay? So. But please, don't feel you're Mr. or Mrs. Awkward if you're asking us a difficult question. You're saying, I don't see how that works. It's hard for us to answer every question here without keeping you here till 3 o'clock this afternoon. But we're all as one, and just whoever you want to speak to, whoever you feel most comfortable approaching, please do that.
Great, and we'll report back to you. So we've said 2 weeks, but just because we want to give ourselves a something to work to, let us know in the next couple of weeks if this is something that you feel you could contribute towards. And as we say, we feel like we're at a significant moment for us as a church. This is a time for us to step out in faith. And so that's what we're asking. We see this as investing in the future of the church for the long term, for putting a priority, yes, on children and family, but also we see this as kind of like a stake in the ground, like, yes, we're here for the generations to come. We're here for the long term. We're here to grow and to see God's kingdom come in our communities. And if you are excited by that too, then we'd love to have you on board. And as Peter says, we will gladly hear any questions or things that come up for you. Joe, would you come and pray for us? And then we're going to go into our final time of worship. So as Joe prays, musicians will get ready.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's really great to have you with us on this journey as we explore our vision and who it is that we believe that God has called us to be at NBCF and what he's calling us to do and the impact that he wants us to have on our surrounding area and the people around us. we're going to be continuing again next week, and I'm going to be sharing again next week. So I'd love to see you there, but do get in touch either by email or online, whatever works best for you. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you are from around the world. Why don't you just type into the comments box just now and say where you are and let us know where you're watching from and how God's blessing you at the moment. We'd love to hear. We just love testimony, don't we? So maybe if you've got a testimony of what God's doing, then why don't you just type that in? We'd love to hear that as well. So we look forward to seeing you next week, from our home again to your home. And if you are ever in North Berwick, please do pop in. We would just love to see you. Have an amazing week. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.